Hey everybody, welcome to Declutter Me, a podcast about organizing and decluttering your life with your host Shelina. Hello.
Hi Chirag, how are you doing today?
Good. A little down with the weather, but hey, it's
Down with weather?
Yeah.
As long as you don't sniffle onto the microphone, then we're all good.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't give me your germs. Oh, well, I hope you get as well soon.
Oh, gee. This is terrible.
It was sincere in my...
Can you please mean it at least? Like,
I'm sincere. As long as you don't give me your germs, you know how I am. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want the germs.
yeah, of course.
I am sympathetic towards him, listeners. Really.
Also,
Sometimes.
she says, yeah.
I was with him yesterday and he was sniveling, so I have to be sympathetic today, right?
So the thing with the listeners though is that they've been with us now for 92 episodes. So I think you can't, they already know exactly where
like.
you are. Yeah. I don't think it's going to change now.
Look, I'm always polite and pleasant to you.
Yes.
In public and in podcasts.
But we got to power through, and so
And
what
you're
are
not sniveling in the mic.
Yeah, and what are we? What are we going to talk about today?
Today, I wanted to talk about toxic social media.
Or social media in general?
We're obviously friends on all the social media platforms that we like using.
We are. I don't really pay much attention to you there, but sure.
Oh my God, you're so rude. Okay, we're on the main ones: the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do Snapchat or TikTok. I don't understand TikTok. TikTok's like fine, right?
I mean, since we brought it up anyway, instead of saying it at the end of the show, just FYI, guys, she's on all social media. You can find her. You can contact her there.
On all
Find
of
Declutter Me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter.
YouTube, LinkedIn,
There we go.
Pinterest.
That's everything.
So there is so much social media, and so I've got double accounts, one for Declutter Me and one for my personal accounts. The Declutter Me ones are pretty fine, usually. Thankfully, I've got lovely followers and comments and stuff. Only once in a blue moon I get trolled. And I think we've talked about removing friends before on social media, have we?
Yeah, we've talked about that. We've talked about even, kind of clearing up WhatsApp clutter to some extent in terms of just getting yourselves out of these groups and these things that are not really, they're just draining you out. Right?
Yeah. But this is more, they're not like you're following people on, say, Twitter who are not even friends. Say on Twitter, you'll be having a conversation with people and this person will come in and start fighting and arguing about and stating their point. And their point is the only correct point. And if you don't agree with their point, you're the terrible person. And it happens all the time. And, I have not, there are quite a lot of people like that on our social media, on Twitter and on Facebook. And it gets draining, and it gets embarrassing. And especially, because then people go, are you friends with those people?
Yeah, like who's that person? And you're like, well, I kind of know them. And then it just becomes a bit awkward, yeah.
And it's, I shouldn't have to defend that bad behavior. And then you start thinking about it, going, why are they behaving like this? Why are they talking like this? I get angry and passionate about things. And I mean, very often you've said to me, you've seen it quietly because he's very quiet on social media, but he'll see things and see me and go, Shelina, calm. Don't fall for that. Don't respond, blah, blah, blah. So he's a voice of reason for me. And especially because of the nature of my job and because of how we are on social media, we need to be a bit more careful with how we respond and stuff. So the best thing for me to do is just to remove the people. And then that causes offense to people because you've removed them. And so they start going on other social media platforms complaining about you removing them. But it's really toxic. And, I have decided this year for my mental health well-being, that I don't want to deal with this toxic kind of relationships, as I would call it. Would we call it a toxic relationship? Toxic
interactions, I guess.
Yeah, interactions. Yeah.
Look, I think it's one of those. One of the reasons. I mean, I know you alluded to me kind of saying sometimes like, "Hey, just let it go," because I genuinely believe that I think there's some people who are, they're just looking for that kind of fight. They're looking for drama. Half the time, they're not really necessarily even making a larger point.
Yeah.
For them, it's just the fact that you can confront somebody or pick apart something is just, I don't know, it's like oxygen to them. And so for me, I've always, and I've been doing this for many years. It's like a fire burning, and you're just supplying it with oxygen. Well, it's going to keep burning, right? So for me, it's just easier to say, well, if I don't provide it any attention, if I just ignore it, at least, and this is a personal thing, as in it towards me, it stops, right? because as much as we'd like to, we can't. I mean, whatever. It's not our mission to civilize everybody, right? Like, I mean, this is not to say like just do that. A lot of times, I mean, we'll have the first set of interactions, but you can very quickly pick up, especially if it's someone new that's doing it with you. You can
Yeah.
very quickly pick up in a couple of, let's say, a couple of messages, couple of tweets or comments, that this person's intention is to just be confrontational. They're not really looking at your point of view. They're not really engaging in a constructive way.
No.
And so right away, then like, okay, this is a bit pointless of a conversation because we're just going to be at dead ends with each other. It's better for us to walk away than for both sides, but particularly us, to walk away feeling, as you said, feeling drained or feeling just exhausted because you've had this like conversation. You're trying to hammer a point into somebody's head and they're just not getting it.
And then you waste your time as well. You're wasting your time responding to them. You're wasting your time, like, I'll talk to close friends, like, say to you and say, this has happened, blah, blah, what do I do? And you end up wasting 10, 20 minutes of your life dealing with this toxic person when you don't need to. So my thing is now, let's just remove that. Let's stop wasting our time on this. We've got better things to do. There's so much stuff being bombarded on us that we don't need this extra nonsense in our lives. So that's a thing to do. And so I thought, let's go through each kind of big social media to discuss how to declutter a lot of, go through the reasons of why to declutter people from the social media platforms. So say for Facebook, and I think we discussed this before, but on Facebook, I had about 500 friends, and then I went down to like 200. And I went through and removed people who I neither, both sides didn't interact with each other. Most would be because they muted you. And if they've muted you, then why should they see anything about your personal life, And with me, my Facebook is very personal. It's the only place that I have my personal life out there. I don't put it out everywhere. So if you don't want to engage with me, then you shouldn't be able to see what's about my life. So those people are removed. Anybody who makes your heart sink, I kind of feel, or make you, or a negative all the time. And for me, people who keep on talking about how great Brexit is, I've had to remove them because, or any, political affiliations that I do not agree with.
Yeah, I think the thing here also is I think you have to, when it comes to social media especially, I think you have to look at it from a very personal point of view. Because, I mean, I don't know about our listeners, and there are obviously different people handle these things in a different way, but at least I know we're similar in that regard. I mean, we check these platforms almost daily.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times we have to do it for work, but even just personally, we check our Twitter feeds, we look at Facebook and LinkedIn and others, and I think LinkedIn is a little safer in this regard so far, to some extent. I mean, just comparatively.
Yeah.
But I mean, like to log in first thing in the morning to look at your feed because you want to catch up on the news or something else, and you have all these posts that are just they're exhausting just going through them.
Yeah.
You feel that amount of negative emotion or just negative energy all the time. So I mean, I wouldn't even go to the extent of saying if someone's muted you, I do it independent of whatever they're doing with me. I kind of treat it as an independent thing personally. This is my thing where I just say like, look, I don't want to see these person's posts anymore, and so I'm going to take the step to do that. Whether I may mute somebody, I may unfollow, depending on which platform or what we're doing.
I think and it's different levels for me because I use my Facebook so much for it's a platform. It's kind of before when I first moved to Dubai, I used to send long emails giving updates about my life. Now Facebook has taken that over. That's my blog, my place to talk to my close friends and say, this is what's happening in my life, what's happening in your life, because we've got friends globally now because of the the life that we have. So that's and so we use it I suppose in different kind of ways. So, and in the same kind of way, I don't want clients or acquaintances to see my personal posts. So I have restricted who can view my posts, whether it's about, my cat pictures, which I have a lot of, or funny articles I find, which sometimes can be slightly 18 plus, But that's my decision to put those posts up on my personal social media. But of course, I don't want to see, people who are not used to me or friends of mine to see those posts. So that's why I get rid of those. And then, of course, anybody who's toxic, whether in real or virtual life. And, sometimes there are people who are really lovely in real life, but when they're on social media, they're keyboard warriors, they're keyboard trolls. I don't want those people to on my social media. Twitter is a bit different because we follow people that we might not have ever met. Eventually we might meet them, and it has happened that I have met people and become good friends with them and ended up going to their wedding because of Twitter. But it's much easier to block or unfollow. But people do get very offended if you do that. And especially and they're the ones who get offended are the ones that have been so toxic that there's a reason that you've blocked them. But do go through it. There used to be apps that you could use to try to remove people who were not on Twitter anymore or were,
Hadn't posted in a while.
Yeah. But now, because of all the algorithms and stuff, it's a bit more difficult to use those apps. So, if you sit in front of TV, watch Netflix, go on your Twitter, see on the, you can click unfollow to various people while you're doing that. And you end up removing people, like you can remove 10, 20 people while sitting in front of the TV every day, and you'll declutter a lot of people.
For me also, like your tip when we talk about emails, right? Like, yes, you should sit and do this sort of culling at some point occasionally. But even the ones where you see a newsletter in your inbox and you just leave it there, and just unsubscribe now, do it now. And I do the same with social media. If I come across a post, and I'll generally give someone a little time, but after a while it becomes very quick. I'm like, this is like the fourth or fifth time this person is heading in a certain direction, and it's not working for me. I just right away, it's like either I mute it in the sense that if I want to maintain a connection with the person, but don't want to see the post in my feed. But I mean, on Twitter, it's so much easier to just say, "Oh, I'm just going to unfollow this person."
Yeah, just unfollow. Yeah, it's just not worth it, and especially when it's about something that's not relevant to you. LinkedIn is a bit different because you've connected with people for networking opportunities or to spread the message about your business. But I have accepted people and allowed them, and then I've seen their posts and gone, what is wrong with these people? And there's a lot of like the me thing going on. There's all these people who do these big posts about, and they show the picture of their car keys and go, I'm so wonderful, I've got a Porsche. No. That's not for me. No, I don't like that. That's not my cup of tea. It might be a cup of tea for, some listeners, but it's not my cup of tea. I don't want to follow those kind of people. And if I met people and I've accepted them and then I think about it and go, actually, this person was not a nice person when I met them, I shouldn't have accepted them on LinkedIn. I don't want to have an interaction with them on a professional basis or personal basis. I'll remove them. So I do that every so often, like every half a year, I'll cull through my LinkedIn contacts and remove people. And often you find that the people just don't use it anymore as well. So or they're not working anymore or whatever. So there's no point having them. The last one is Instagram. So Instagram is the same as like kind of Facebook and Twitter. If the posts are not cool, not relevant, they're not putting anything on, or you don't want them to see things about your life, I just remove them. People are like, if they're not following me, I don't want to follow them. I don't care about that. I just want to see nice pictures. So yeah, that's and you want them to be funny or beautiful. It's a visual thing, isn't it? Right. Some people follow a lot of celebrities because they want to see what the celebrities are up to. I'm not too bothered. Only a few celebrities. Obviously, all the Friends cast now because Matthew Perry's joined now, so I'm following him. And Jennifer Aniston because I do like her. And Madonna, obviously.
And I mean, each of the platforms are doing like, their bits in terms of trying to find ways to make this work. So, for example, in Facebook, you don't have to unfriend somebody; you can just unfollow them. Twitter as well, you don't have to unfollow; you can mute. Instagram has the same way; you can mute people and then keep following. So you keep maintain the relationship with them, uh, but don't actually have to see their feeds. Twitter still has lists, even though it's not a very popular feature, or people don't talk about it much, but they still have lists. So there are times that's what I do. I mean, I have industry things that I want to see, and I keep them on a list.
Right.
So I don't have to see them in my feed all the time, and I don't have to see people talking about certain things all the time. But then when I need to just be like, okay, I just want to do a quick update on the news, I can just go to a list and look at it, so it doesn't have to be in my feed, and it's more conscious. So there are things you can always do.
Yeah, and that's a more organized way. I mean, I had the list, but it was not my cup of tea. I didn't find it. I narrowed down the people who I wanted to see, but then I thought, actually, why don't you just remove the thousands of people you're following that you are not relevant to your life? That's easier than having two different areas to look at my, the timeline. So yeah, it's whatever your preference is, but the main thing is to look after your mental health now. That and for me, that's a big thing. I'm very big on looking after myself and looking after my health and my mental health, and I have to stop engaging and allowing these toxic people into my life. And I have to stop wasting your time sending you messages going, "What? Look at this person. This person's annoying me today." Because it's a waste of time for you. It's a waste of time for me. It's and there are better things there. There's I should be looking at more positive things. And considering I am a half glass empty kind of girl,
No comment.
this will help. Oi, what do you mean no comment? Yeah, it's true, actually. So hopefully these tips will help you to clear up your social media and clear up your mind. And of course, if you need to talk, we're happy to help.
You can find us on social media.
Yeah, you can find us on social media. We have cool posts. Just go to @declutterme.
Yeah, and of course, you can find all the episodes of the show, all 92 of them, in your favorite podcast player as well. So look for Declutter Me. So that's DECLUTTRME, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.